Yesterday was a very bad day. Today was one of the best days I've had in quite some time. The P&L doesn't quite show up because I also had a very, very bad trade today. But anyway, we have a green bounce back day. I'm very happy about that. Hey, fellow traders, it's Black Coffee Trader. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm doing my recap. I am going to check out and walk away from today after this morning's session. So, yeah. I didn't even trade the NASDAQ. I did miss one of my trades I wanted today was this one right here. I couldn't take this trade because I have a, one of my Guardian Angel Trader rules is if I have a loss of more than 3 contracts, I have to wait 15 minutes. And so I did have an early loss this morning, and then I couldn't take this trade, which made me a little bit sad, but we made it back in a big way on the ES and on the Dow Jones. So let's start with the Dow Jones. You know what? Matter of fact, I think I'm going to show you, I think just walking through TradeZella is going to be the best. Today, 1321. We made it back almost half of our red day yesterday, which is nice. Very good win rate today, 75%. Average win-loss was not good because I had a big loser. I had a one trade $255 loser, which is bad. If I don't take that trade, I have a almost $500 profit day today. So average win was nice, 158, but that one loser was a bummer. And this win is skewed as well because I had one win for 26 bucks. The rest of them were over 200. So good day. I'm really happy about it. Let's just walk through it. So yeah, you can see we regained about half of our losses from yesterday. Let's look at the trades here. I'm just going to make this thing larger so we can see the whole thing. So this was the first trade. Whoops, let me open the right thing here. This is the first trade. This was a Dow Jones trade this morning that I took. You know what? I'm going to jump back and forth here, but that's okay. I took that Dow trade right here. Part of my trade plan today was if we break and hold above this 42,330 level and yesterday's high of day, I was going to take that long. I got that this morning, but here's the caveat. We had news coming out at 10 o'clock. Yesterday morning, I also took a trade prior to news. I think that was also at 10, maybe 9:45. I don't recall for sure. And that trade ended up being a loss. This one did as well. Very, very upsetting. My original stop was right below this level, and I kept moving my stop because at the same time that this was selling off, NQ was ripping. It was pushing, and I wouldn't say ripping, but it was pushing higher quite strongly. And that led me to move my stop and take a big loss. Very, very, very unfortunate. I'm pretty upset with myself for doing that, but no use crying over spilled milk. That's what I did. But here you can see the entry. The entry looked great. Everything looked good. We had a hold, a wick, had a green candle pushing out, and it just chopped around, and finally, we lost that. So again, break and retest of yesterday's high day. Ugly. NQ was strong. ES kept holding, and YM was selling, so I kept moving my stop. Finally took a $250 loss. Very hard not to get really, really upset. I was, trust me, a year ago, I would have went full-blown tilt mode, 100%. And I don't say that in a braggy sort of way. I just know I was very, very angry when this trade stopped out. I was very angry. But I also knew what happened, and I knew it was not the market's fault. I knew that I moved my stop, and I just forced myself to calm down and just think through it, and don't be stupid. That was what I told myself, and thankfully I was able to follow through on that. The next trade was this long on a break and retest on ES. Break and retest of yesterday's high of day. NQ very strong. ES big wick off the VWAP. First target hit, then out break even. This big wick here on ES right off the VWAP, pushing out, and I took that trade long. We basically just blipped up. I hit this profit target, took me out break even, which was fine. Good trade. You'll have those. And then we get into the two really, really, really nice trades. This one right here was again back to the Dow. Let me move this so we can actually see the whole thing. Because I was in this trade for over 2 hours. So you can see, let's just go down and read my note first. Break and retest to 42,340. ES and NQ are strong. Excellent trade. Rode the move and started trailing a stop after the first two targets hit. Well managed trade. I managed this trade very, very well. So here you can see that earlier trade, the stop out, the frustrating stop out, wick lower, and then we had this hold, had a very clear hold right there above that 42,340 level, and I took that trade long and had very little drawdown and simply just rode it all the way up. And you can kind of see how, you know, first profit target was here, the second one was all the way up here, I took the third one here, and then finally out on this little pullback here at the end. So very well managed trade. I was really just happy with how I executed. You can see here, basically went from one level to the next level, and after that we've started to chop around a little bit. So obviously I could have maybe closed it somewhere up here, but you know, I was really, once we got up to this point, I started trailing a stop, and I thought for a couple times I would get stopped out right here. But I didn't. It just barely hung on there and pushed out. And so again, just very well managed trade. This trade really erased the loss here. So again, this was a mistake. This was a bad mistake. I wish, I'm okay with the trade. What I'm not okay with is moving my stop. What I should have done is let it stop me out at 150. And if we do that, we have a $320 profit day today instead of a $220 profit day today. So lessons to be learned. Still great trade, one of the best trades I've had in quite some time. And then that moves us to the last trade of the day, which is right here, which is an ES trade. And this one here again, we need to scrunch this up so you can see the full trade. ES trade here, long. And I took this simultaneously. I was in both of these trades simultaneously for over 2 hours. I basically went long the Dow, and then we started to see this. Again, if you remember the notes I just covered on the Dow, I was saying that ES and NQ are strong. This was pushing higher. We started to get this little hold above this level at the 58.55s or 58.58s, whatever it is. And I took that long as well because I was already long the Dow. NQ still strong, excellent trade. Trailed stops are the first two contracts hit. Only critique was not being patient enough on the second profit target. I took that one a little earlier than I should have. And so the first one, I go out at 30 bucks in profit. So that's 20% of my risk. My risk is 150. So I'm taking the first one off at $30. The second one, I typically don't take off until $75, and I took that one a little bit early, but then rode the whole move up and had a good trade. I left a few bucks on the table there by doing that. Nothing too major. That trade was $60, should have been another $15 higher. So, you know, you add 15 bucks, it's, you know, another, yeah. Anyway, that's the only real critique that I have on that trade. But again, this was another just very well managed trade. In that trade for 2 hours and 15 minutes, finally took out there. My original target was right up here around the 89s, 89, 90s, and we did get there. Again, I just started to trail a stop. And to my defense, one of the reasons I did take this one off a little bit early is we started to consolidate, and we were doing the same consolidation we got on NQ. This was the area we started to get right into, this sideways channel on the NASDAQ. And I was afraid of this rolling over. And because of that, I decided to take that one a little bit early. Again, this target, I took it at 1128. If you look at the NASDAQ at 1128, that's, you know, right in here where we started to have this pullback. So that was just trying to be careful. I was really watching what NQ is doing, because I was like, if this shows signs of breaking down, we need to get out of both the Dow trade and the ES trade. And that was what I was thinking. But the NASDAQ kept holding and finally pushed, and, you know, we continued to ride our trade up. So again, just I'm happy with the execution. I wish I could do this every single day. You know, I think one of the rules I need to put in place for myself is, if we have a red folder news event like we did the last couple of days, I need to stay out of the markets until that news is over, because prior to that news, it seems like there's some pent up energy that seems to happen in the markets, and you get some erratic moves, and you get those moves like I experienced on the Dow Jones with this big pullback. So unfortunate, but still, it is a great day. The P&L doesn't reflect how great of a day it was with the couple trades I took, but that's okay. Very much a win, and I feel it feels a whole lot better than I did yesterday. Also, you may have noticed, if you watched my trade plan this morning, I do have the Russell on here. I took my gold, the gold off and added the Russell to my charts. The reason I did that is the NASDAQ, the ES, the Dow, and the Russell are all very similar indexes. The Russell is, the 2,000 small cap companies in the stock market. So, and I was trading the Russell with only my evals. I copy trade all of my evals. By the way, I had a pretty good day, up over 400 on all of my evals, copy trading 16 of those. So we're slowly but steadily getting those across the, or getting them higher. And again, I'm not in a rush. I really don't care if it takes me close to a month to pass these. I'm just taking it very slowly, copy trading them with my funded accounts, and then I'll also do trade them sometimes just these in one group, which I did on the Russell today to kind of test it out. So I like it. Obviously, we had a pretty big move on the Russell, big move up on the Russell. So we'll see. I'm going to just watch it. I charted some levels here this morning after I did my trade plan for the day. I spent a little bit of time to chart out some levels here, looking at some big picture stuff on the Russell, so that it looks similar to the rest of my trading. But yeah, we're going to monitor that. I thought it was interesting how this morning we went right down to the daily 20, and then we rejected it right at the daily 100. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So I know it's one morning and we can't take anything from that, but I will watch that. Does the Russell react to these daily moving averages a little bit better than some of the other indexes do? That's quite possible. So we'll keep monitoring that, but had a couple of really good trades on the Russell today on my evals, which is good. So anyway, very good trading day. Very happy with it. Definitely feels better than it did yesterday. So again, like I've been telling you guys, if you followed along, I will take tomorrow off. So I am going to shut the charts down now, and I'm not going to look at them until probably Wednesday night or Thursday morning. So feels good to take a little break. And yeah, also just a reminder, don't forget about these sales going on. Apex has that 71% off, and Take Profit Trader has that 30% off and no activation fee. That's awesome. So those of you that use my code BCT, I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. And thanks for following along. Appreciate you all. By the way, we're getting close to 400 subscribers. Again, small channel here, but we're getting close. So if you're new, or if you've been following along and are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate that. So just help me to move along and catch another little mini milestone, if you will. So, all right. Have a great day. Hope you guys had a good trading day. Trade well tomorrow. Be careful. I do think there is a little bit of news tomorrow. Let's just cover that in case there is. Yes, tomorrow's actually a couple things. We have at 8:15, we have ADP non-farm employment, which is a red folder event that should move the market. We also have ISM services PMI at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we've had 3 days straight where we have 10 a.m. news. So pay attention to that tomorrow. Be careful. Trade well, my friends. And until next time, take care. And so long.